So welcome. Thanks for being here. I am going to start out by switching my video around so you can see the classroom and you don't have to. So, I'm sure you're all aware the Lake Superior Zoo School is a nature-based preschool, which really means that everything we do is focused on nature. And we think this is really important for a variety of reasons. First, we think that nature is the best teacher for young children, and it is the most appropriate classroom environment as well. So with that, we spend about 5 out of our 10-hour school days outside every day. That's right now in the winter when it's the coldest possible. We are outside for 5 hours a day out of our 10-hour day. In summertime and when weather permits, we're outside more than that. But when we are inside, this is our space. And so I wanted to just give you an overview of what it looks like, kind of the feel that it has inside. We're in an old historic pavilion, which has been enclosed in recent years, and just last year was transformed into this preschool building. The classroom is set up really intentionally with the child in mind. When I designed this space, I walked around the pavilion on my knees at child height so I could see it through child's eyes. And with that, we really focus on giving the child free choice in their play. We believe the child learns through play and directs their own learning. And so we set up the classroom so that it has a variety of centers. The center that I'm sitting in right now is the library center. So you can see in here we have a variety of books. It's also our calm corner for if children are having a big emotion, they are welcome to come over here and find a calming activity like a sensory bottle or something like that to help them self-soothe. Then I'll just walk around the classroom with you guys. You'll notice this big rug out in the middle here. In a lot of classrooms, you'll see rugs that have like alphabet letters and things like that on it. We chose a really neutral rug, but that does have circle spots for children to sit in. So each day we have a whole group meeting time where a teacher reads a story and works on different vocabulary words, things like that, a lot of emotional vocabulary words too. And children sit in the circle during that time. We also have weekly animal encounters where an animal ambassador from our, you may be familiar with the Griggs Learning Center. So like turtles or rabbits, an animal like that may come visit our classroom, and we usually are in this space at that time when we get to learn about the animal up close and personal.
Leah, I have a question. You mentioned the class was reduced to 10, just due with everything with COVID. Mm-hmm. What kind of class size are you looking to have for the next year?
Great question. So we are planning to have a class size of 18 starting in summer and going forward through next school year session. It's been a tough decision, but I feel very confident that our staff will be able to be vaccinated by summer, which helps me feel a little bit more safe. And also that in summer, we'll spend a lot of our time outside where we know transmission rates for COVID are much lower. And with that, we're also hoping that as time progresses, more and more of the population will either have immunity or be vaccinated. And so we're hoping that by fall, it will be safe to have 18 children and spend more of that time inside.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Here we have our dramatic play center. So this is where children will play dress up. Right now, children are engaged in a camping unit. So we have a little pretend campfire set up. some kitchen type things, washer and dryer, kind of standard pretend play activities in this area. And then we have this beautiful loft where children can go up the stairs and then peer out the windows, which happen to look out on our lion exhibit. So it's pretty fun for kids to be able to see out there. We have binoculars available, and they also like to look out over the classroom. It kind of gives them a different perspective of what's going on. Okay, so we'll spin around here. You can see our block area. And then this table right here is extremely important in our classroom. This is our science center, and as a nature-based program, we do a lot of science exploration. So children are very familiar with how to use tools like magnifying glasses and scales and balances, even thermometers, things like that. Here we have a sensory table. We know that for children ages 3 to 5, sensory play is extremely important. Even with all the time that we spend outside, this is one of our most popular centers. Right now it's filled with sand, and kids love playing in there. And here is our block area. Let me just get around. Block play is always a favorite. It's, of course, where children can construct different things, engage in imaginary play with smaller doll-like figures, and even practice their fine motor skills with things like Legos. We have our writing center. It's filled with a word wall. A lot of our words have pictures with them. So children are building their vocabulary at an incredible rate at this age. And we honor that and try to foster it through pointing out vocab words in our repeated read alouds, and then practicing those vocab words and writing them together in a variety of ways. These two tables here are both our art center with a variety of materials available, like Play-Doh, paints, papers, and different drawing utensils. And then our math and manipulative center, which has different math activities, tanagrams, and things like that available. This is also where we eat our lunch each day, and our snacks when it's too cold to eat snacks outside.
I have another question if I can jump in.
Yeah, please.
Can you talk through your nutrition policy a little bit, or is it, do families bring in their lunches and snacks for their own kid?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yes, families provide lunches each day for their own children. So we require them to bring like a bag lunch each day. And then we here at the zoo school provide 2 snacks each day. So we provide a morning snack and an afternoon snack. With those meals, they all meet our, I forget what the regulating body is for nutrition and childcare at the moment, but they all meet those required nutritional standards. So snacks, for example, have to have 2 components, such as a grain, a fruit, a vegetable, or a protein source, and they have to be low in sugar. So when we're creating our snack menu, we keep that in mind, and we try and do as much like whole fruits and vegetables as we can, and then we provide protein sources like nuts, dairy, and like different cheeses and things like that. And then we also provide alternatives for children who may have food allergies. We think that nutrition is really important, especially in a nature-based program when we're spending a lot of time outside in the cold. We want to make sure that children are getting the nutrition that they need to be warm enough to sustain their play throughout the day. So we take it really seriously and take a lot of pride in the snacks that we provide. Providing lunches, just go on a little tangent here, turned out to be a huge challenge as a new childcare center. At our facility, we don't have a licensed kitchen on our site, and we don't have the capacity to do that. And we also were unable to find an outside vendor willing to cater to us. And so that's why we require parents to bring lunches from home. That's something that I hope to change in the future, but right now that's kind of where we're at. Okay, here you'll see our entrance to the school and the children's cubbies. So children bring their gear from home and store it at school each day. And they also bring things like their rest times and stuff from home. So they each bring a blanket, a stuffy, and a pillow if they choose, so that they can use that during rest time to stay cozy and feel safe. We have about 2 hours designated to rest time each day. 30 minutes of that children must spend on their cot resting. If children don't fall asleep within that 30 minutes, then we have quiet indoor play that takes place while other children are resting. We found, though, that a lot of kids who don't usually nap at home tend to nap at nature-based preschool just because they're outside playing so much each day.
As far as the blankets and the pillows and stuff that we would bring in, do we bring them in every day, or do they stay there for the week?
Great. Yeah, great question. That's something that you bring on a Monday. It stays here during the week, and then it goes home on Friday to be washed.
And then other logistic question, I've only ever walked by this building. And so I've only done that, you go through the main building and kind of loop around by the Lions.
Yep.
For drop-off, is that the same? I mean, would you kind of walk through that route, or is there an easier drop-off spot that's closer to the building?
Yeah, that is a fabulous question. So let me walk right over to our main doors. And the short answer is that we have a pretty convenient drop-off spot that is connected directly to the parking lot. So right here, we have this large, intimidating staircase, but it goes directly to the parking lot. And so parents can just park in the parking lot and drop their kiddo off straight down these stairs. And this whole area here is fenced in, and this is our playscape area. So this is where we play in this kind of forested area each day. The longer answer to that question is that if you want a more accessible route to enter the building, you would go through the main building and then through the zoo past the Lions. And then we have a ramp over on the zoo side of the pavilion. All right. So that's the classroom space. Does anyone have any other questions? If you don't want to ask out loud, feel free to put them in the chat.
I haven't seen any within the space, but what is your policy on screen time?
Oh, that is a fabulous question. So at Zoo School, we believe that technology should be used as a tool. And so that's how we model it. We occasionally use technology with students to do things like record data or take photos. However, for the most part, we are a relatively tech-free preschool. And the reason we do that is because we know kids get a lot of tech time at home, outside of school hours, on the weekends. And we think that children will be able to learn to use tech quickly on their own as they get a little bit older too. So we try to keep our tech use to a minimum at Zoo School.
Awesome. And then for nap time or quiet time, is it just on that main circle rug?
Yeah, actually we have blue cots, and I'll bring you over there so you can see. They're kind of the standard cots that you would use in a childcare center, and we put them throughout the classroom. So like one child is in the writing center, one child is in the library, a couple of children are on that big blue rug, some are in the block area, and some are in the dramatic play area. So they're really spread out. And each child has their own little blue cot to rest on. Here, I'll show you what those look like. So they're all stacked up right now. This is where we store them. And everybody gets their own.
Great.
While we're over here, I'll show you, this is kind of our transitional space. So we have a bench and our daily rhythm. We know that children really benefit from having a predictable daily rhythm. And so we have that here in picture and word form so that children know exactly what to expect throughout each day. And the space is used a lot as we are doing our bathroom tries. So this is our bathroom space, kind of a standard bathroom. It is grown-up sized with a lot of stools and potty chairs available. And then children store extra clothes from home in here as well.
Question about the schedule. So I believe you had a start time of like 7:30 or 8, somewhere around there. Is that, I agree with you that the rhythm for a kid is really good. Is there any flexibility? Like if one of us wouldn't be able to drop off a child until 8:30, is that kind of disruptive? Like, is it a hard start at 7:30 or 8, or is there a little bit of flexibility in the morning?
What we do is we have a window for drop off and for pickup. So that window for drop off is 7:30 to 8:30. We like for all children to arrive by 8:30 if at all possible, because we start our zoo walkabout at that time. And it's a great way for us to kick off our day, something really exciting to get going right away. And so we do ask that all children are here by 8:30 so that we can go visit the animals out on zoo grounds. But that window from 7:30 to 8:30 is available. And we usually do outdoor starts, at least this year, that's what we're doing. And that was mostly because of COVID. So parents can just drop off outside and don't even need to enter the building this time.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then that pickup window is around 4:30.
Yeah, our pickup window is pretty large. Right now it's 3 o'clock until 5:30. We noticed that we had a lot of teachers as parents this year, and so they wanted to be able to pick up their kids starting around 3 o'clock, and so we're willing to be really flexible about that. And as long as we know when parents need to pick up, we can make sure that we're close to the building at that time so that it's convenient for parents. We'll go right up. Take a peek out the windows. You can just barely see the lion enclosure there. And we'll spin you around for a view of the classroom, bird's eye view. And we have plexiglass over this. I'm not sure if that's super visible. We don't just have it open. This particular area doubles as both our meeting space and our music and movement area. So we have instruments and some like scarves and yoga mats, things like that available for some bigger body movement in this large meeting rug area.
But is there any certain developmental milestones you like to see kids at before they start? Just kind of big ones that you'd like to make sure they have before they start?
The main really important thing for us is that children are fully potty trained. And that's because we spend so much time outside that children need to be able to recognize in their own bodies when they need to go so that we can get them inside to use the bathroom and avoid some of those accidents. Now, we recognize that we're working with preschoolers, right? So accidents are a normal part of development, and that's okay. But overall, we want children to be fully potty trained. So that means recognizing when they need to go pee and when they need to have a bowel movement, and then being able to wipe after they urinate, and at least be attempting to wipe after a bowel movement. We do provide support wiping after bowel movements just to make sure kids are clean. That's the main developmental thing. With that though, if a child has a documented disability where toileting isn't possible for them quite yet, that's okay. We really, sorry, the zoo's open to the public right now and there's someone at the door. Refocusing. My own background is in special education. My teachers are very inclusive. That's something that we pride ourselves in. And so if a child has a documented disability, that's okay. We want to welcome them into our program and work with that as much as possible. So with that, other developmental milestones, I don't think need to be hit. That's why they're coming to preschool, is so that we can work with them and help them with their development.
I'm not sure if you already answered this, Leah. I heard you say about how you weren't able to teach as much as you thought you could. How many teachers are there?
So right now we have 2 co-lead teachers. Their names are Jessamy and Mandy. They both have master's degrees in environmental education. So I'm really lucky to have amazing staff. And like I said, they're co-lead teachers. So since we're open for 10 hours each day, they kind of, one of them opens and has an opening shift, one of them closes and has that closing shift, and then they overlap in the middle each day. And so those are my 2 main staff. As our class expands, I'll be hiring on an assistant teacher as well. We do also have 2 AmeriCorps members at our school. And they are not paid staff through the zoo school. They are employed through AmeriCorps. And they are a part of the Reading Corps of Minnesota. And so their role here is to support the reading and math development of our students, which is a great fit because our lead teachers, like I said, their educational background is in environmental education, which tends to be really science-based. And so our AmeriCorps members bring in this expertise in reading and math as well. And it creates a really balanced curriculum of different learning domains for our preschoolers. Yeah, I feel really honored to be able to be here in this really unique setting at the zoo. Like I said, our kids go on zoo grounds every day. They do zoo walkabouts where they visit the animals. And we have a very big empathy focus where we learn the animals' point of views and their needs and how they're feeling and that kind of thing. So we think it's so important, especially in today's world, to feel connected to nature and to feel empathy for wildlife, so that our young children can grow to be stewards of our world, of our land.